All right, so 2024 gave us a lot of great figures, but it definitely gave us a couple ones that I would consider a bust. Figures that either I do own or based on the collector's feedback just overly weren't hyped for. So in this list, I'm just counting down my top 5 overall busts for 2024. So let's just jump right into it. The first one's going to have to be a figure from a very expensive line that broke a lot of collectors, broke a lot of wallets, and it definitely had its fair share of missteps with each piece, and that is the Spider-Man No Way Home line, but I'm specifically singling out the GOAT, Toby Maguire. This set obviously came out on December 31st, so really collectors didn't get it in hand until January 1st, so cheat, it counts. When this set came out, I think a lot of people were really excited because obviously it was Toby, but they were quick to realize that there was definitely some issues with him, in terms of the overall character, but more specifically was the figure and the head sculpt, where apparently there was like a first batch, second batch thing, where the first early batches, the web lines weren't matching up. It was like the ugly seam down the front of the head. It was just like a lot of mess. For me, it was just a matter of, I also think it was a matter of the value. That was like a $450+ set if you went with the deluxe. And I just didn't feel like the value was there with the figure. I think a lot of people were underwhelmed with him in terms of the suit. They want, things like that. People were getting him modified. So, I mean, there could have been other figures in this line I probably could have singled out. But I went after Toby because he is obviously a lot of people's favorite. And with, as pricey of what his set was with the deluxe and everything, I felt that, this one for me was definitely starting out my list, number 5 bust of 2024. All right, so the next one is going to be Catwoman. This one was just a bust because there was nothing special about it. It was pretty much a straight it wasn't labeled a reissue, but it might as well have been. When this one was announced, people, they're going to be excited because they don't own it. But then, we were on the cusp of the WB 100 Wonder Woman going into the artisan figures. And I know people were really holding out that this one maybe would have gotten an upgrade to the wool hair implantation treatment, but it definitely did not. It missed the boat completely. And then that being said, I felt, a lot of people felt the head sculpt was just really subpar. And frankly, it just was one of those characters that, it just didn't do anything for anybody. I mean, they were posing it up on the Bat Pod, which anyone knew if you had that suit, it was going to get destroyed. The first version didn't hold up with the pleather, and it didn't look like they really did anything special with this one. Yes, you got a different type of diorama base, but nonetheless, it wasn't anything really impactful. As a matter of fact, I made a video with my 3 villains from the Batman series, Bane, Artisan Joker, and Catwoman, and unintentionally, she just stood out like a sore thumb. I know some people commented on the video saying that, they didn't realize how bad she was compared to, like, Bane is a fantastic example of like a 2.0 or the Artisan Joker, and so the Catwoman is just one that unfortunately just doesn't hold up. I know J&D just announced theirs. It's like a 2-pack, which is like absurdly amount of money. So she's definitely a character that's going to get treatment elsewhere by other companies. But for me, she comes in at number 4 bust of 2024. All right, so people might think I'm cheating on this one, but unfortunately, I got to add it because of the value, and it's the Dark Knight Rises Armory, the one that just came out with that god-awful power pose Bruce Wayne. I know people were skeptical about this when it first came out in terms of doing a power pose, and they were actually skeptical about the look of Bruce Wayne then, and then he went from unfortunate transformations into almost like Morbius, where he was like a pale vampire, and then you look at the final version that we got. It's mixed reactions, but I think that for the value of what this set was, it seems to be the reaction I'm seeing is people are buying it, and you're going to see a lot of Bruce Wayne's dumped on the market, or people are just dumping, or they want just the bat suit, or it didn't get parted out. And I just think for the price and what this is, and the fact that we have another competing Armory from the Dark Knight coming around the corner with an articulated Bruce Wayne. I made a video about this one, that this is, this Armory is something that Hot Toys had to nail to, keep customers happy and make them feel confident about their purchase. But from what I see, a majority of people are going to end up parting that thing out. And so you'll start seeing Bruce Wayne's dumped on the market. It sucks, but it's one of those things where for the value and what that set, how much you're paying for it. The fact that there's another Armory, a different style, but nonetheless another competing product. This is one that I just felt like was just a total bust, and it felt like Hot Toys kind of just gave up at a certain point. It was just like, fuck it, just put it out. That's exactly how this felt. And so my next entry is the Dark Knight Rises Armory. All right, this one was painful for me to do, but I'm trying to be honest and transparent. Coming in at number 2 is the 1989 Batman. Yes, I'm putting him on the bust list. Although I love him, Michael Keaton, I think he's the GOAT. I have to be transparent about what Hot Toys did with this figure. I do own the original DX, and so when this came out for announcement, so many people were excited for an upgraded version, or what they hoped to be an upgraded version, and then there was collectors that missed out, so they had a chance to pick up this, original 89 Batman. Unfortunately, there were some upgrades done. There's definitely some positives, but I think the few negatives it had just outshadowed everything. It had a new wired cape, wasn't perfect, but Hot Toys, it was better than the original. It was 100%, but it still wasn't perfect. And it came with if you got the deluxe, a fucking kick-ass diorama. Like that church bell tower thing was unfucking believable. Like it was probably one of the best dioramas that I've ever had from Hot Toys. That being said, the two items on the figure that really overshadowed everything was obviously the avocado texture of the suit, which was very inaccurate, and then also the faceplates with the inaccuracy of it looking like Michael Keaton. People were very disappointed about this and very bewildered that, how could they go from the DX, the DX09, which a lot of people felt was great, and then this sculpt just took a step backwards. Like, it made no sense. And I even saw many people just opting to pass on it or cancel it and wait for, hopefully, which then we got a 1992 Batman Returns. So as much as I do own this figure, obviously, so I do still love it. But to be absolutely transparent, Hot Toys fucked this one up. And it really upset a lot of collectors, which I think they had justification to, given the the character and who this was. It should have been a no-brainer that they got it right. At least minimally the suit texture, they should have got it right. Yeah, the faceplates, likenesses always drop off, but if you had to get one or two things right, I mean, the texture on the suit was definitely one that turned so many people off. So coming in at number 2 is the 1989 Batman 2.0. All right, so the final entry or entries, I actually grouped 3 together. It's my list, my rules, so it is what it is. But there's a reason, because the 3 of them kind of go together, and that was kind of the thing about it. And that's going to be the Attack of the Clones line of Mace Windu, Padme, and Anakin Skywalker. These 3 figures, I mean, you could even break them up. If I had to pick individually, I'd go Mace Windu, but I'm bundling all 3 together. They were just such a disappointment for me. The Mace Windu I was really excited about, because obviously it's Sam Jackson. Yes, when the prototype came out, the likeness was like but it's still, you always have hopes that it would get better. And unfortunately, that sculpt just was, I remember doing a review on it, and that sculpt just, I wasn't a fan of the sculpt. It didn't have the rolling eye system, so he just looked dead eyes. And it was really unfortunate with that figure. And then you move on to, and then I got Padme, who literally, I think I spent 5 minutes with her and she went on the shelf. She was unfortunately like an accessory figure. This is just me speaking. I know not everyone feels this way, but I almost felt obligated to get her if you were getting Anakin. And then Anakin, he just looked lifeless. Like, he looked like a toy. I remember when the prototype came out, people were clamoring that, that was probably one of the, it's in the top 10 best head sculpts ever done, and this, that, and the other. And although the figure is good, it's not what I thought it was when it first was announced. I mean, it just looks very toyish. The photos didn't do it really much justice at times. And like I said, it just, without getting one or the other, I kind of felt like I was obligated to get them, because I had the other previous Attack of the Clones figures. I just say it like that because I know, like with Padme, it was hard to get Anakin without Padme, or vice versa. So it's just 3 figures that I had a lot more higher hopes for that unfortunately let me down. And so I lumped these together because it was hard to talk about one without the other. So I just included them as a trio. So coming in at number one bust of 2024 for me was the Attack of the Clones. This is like the second wave, I think it was. It wasn't the first one. It was like the second. It's Mace Windu, Padme, and Anakin Skywalker. So that's my list. I could have probably gone much higher, but I really only wanted to pick 5 figures that I felt really cemented a lot. There wasn't that many. This is my list personally, so obviously you can disagree with this or agree with some of my picks. I was trying to think of things that, like I said, for the value, what people are paying for. Did they, were people happy with what they got in return, or did Hot Toys just screw it up? So, like I said, picked those 5, technically 8 if you count the 3. But drop a like on the video, comment below. I'm interested to know what your comments are. Do you agree with any of my picks? If not, what are your picks for busts of 2024? But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Until then, this is Mr. Mom Collectible saying take care, and I will see you guys in the next video.